The first attack on Hitler's life occurred during his speech in Munich in 1921 at a beer hall rally. The audience of 300 was primarily filled with political opponents and protesters, because Hitler had little followers in his early political career. As tensions in the audience rose, shots were fired at Hitler, who was standing up on the stage. Unfortunately, the bullets missed. Suddenly, shots were fired back into the crowd at the unknown shooter by yet another mystery person. Some speculate Hitler himself fired back at the shooter, considering he always carried a gun with him everywhere he went at the time. With neither Hitler nor his would-be assassin struck with a bullet, the Führer safely continued his speech. Another assassination attempt was initiated by an SS guard in 1929 at a German sports complex, in which Hitler planned to give another speech. Apparently, the guard planted a bomb underneath the platform that Hitler would stand on as he spoke minutes before his target's arrival. The guard thought he could use the restroom and return to his post in time to detonate the bomb. However, the guard somehow became locked in the restroom, so he was not able to detonate the bomb before the end of the speech. Hitler departed safely from the complex. Furthermore, another attempt occurred in 1943. A German officer named Lieutenant Schlabrendorf gave a package containing brandy bottles to another German officer who would be flying on the same plane as Hitler. The brandy bottles, however, were not real, and the package actually held a time bomb. The bomb was set to detonate in Hitler's plane while on his way to Berlin. The bomb, though, did not detonate, as Schlabrendorf later found out. The high altitude and cold temperatures while in flight froze the detonator cap in acid, which were necessary for the bomb to explode. When Schlabrendorf received word that Hitler's plane landed safely in Berlin, he traveled to Berlin himself and replaced the package containing the bomb with real brandy bottles before other German officers discovered the explosive. Hitler was spared once more. In addition, one of the last assassination attempts on Hitler took place just weeks before the fall of Nazi Germany. A man named Albert Speer, Hitler's armaments minister and architect, organized the attack. Speer planned to obtain a deadly gas known as tabun and release it into the bunker in which Hitler had been hiding for months. After further examination and conversation with a colleague about this gas, Speer soon realized that tabun was only useful if released after an explosion occurred within the bunker. Speer knew it would be impossible to set off an explosion in Hitler's bunker, so he reasoned tabun was not an effective way to kill Hitler. Speer abandoned his assassination plans altogether when he strolled past the bunker one day and noticed that guards, who were not there before, were posted on the roof and around the bunker. Also, the ventilation shaft that Speer planned on directing gas through was blocked by a newly constructed chimney that stretched out of Speer's reach. No one knows why the guards were posted at the bunker or why the chimney was constructed, but those provisions saved Hitler's life again. Second, a notorious Nazi opponent planned an elaborate assassination attempt on Hitler. This man was Johann Georg Elser. Elser was a registered communist in Germany who opposed Hitler and did not conform to Nazi customs, such as performing the Hitler salute at parades. Hitler despised communists because German communists wanted to distribute the wealth to all classes, while Hitler wanted to keep the classes separate, with him at the top. These differences in ideology showed why Elser became one of Hitler's would-be assassins. Elser planned to kill Hitler during one of his speeches at a beer hall in Munich on November 8, 1939. This beer hall was the same place the first recorded assassination attempt on Hitler occurred. Elser's plan was to plant a time bomb in a self-made hole in the central pillar right behind where Hitler would give a speech, at 8 o'clock p.m. on November 8th. The explosive was set to detonate at 9:20 p.m. the same night. After months of planning and preparation, Elser discreetly planted the bomb in the pillar a few days before the event and fled the scene for Switzerland. On November 8th, Hitler began speaking at 8:10 p.m. However, he abruptly ended his speech at 9:07 p.m., just 13 minutes shy of the detonation. He quickly left the building and traveled by car to the nearest train station to leave Munich. On his way to the station, Hitler and those accompanying him saw the explosion in the distance at exactly 9:20 p.m. Hitler narrowly escaped death again. While there was commotion in Munich on the same night the bomb exploded, Elser reached the Switzerland border. However, he could not cross because many German guards were patrolling along the fence. The guards became suspicious of him and arrested him. They caught Elser with a pair of pliers, a postcard from the beer hall in which he had planted the bomb, a fuse, a Communist Party badge, and sketches of his homemade bomb. Elser was then sent to the Gestapo, or Nazi secret police, in Munich for interrogations. After days of brutal beatings, Elser confessed that he alone planted the bomb. Elser was imprisoned in a concentration camp known as Dachau for 5.5 years, until an SS man executed him in the camp a few weeks before the surrender of Germany. Finally, some of Hitler's own highly ranked officers attempted to assassinate him. One of the most notable was German Colonel Klaus Count von Stauffenberg. Stauffenberg's first assassination attempt on Hitler occurred at a military meeting at Hitler's retreat on July 11, 1944. Stauffenberg's plan was to place a suitcase that concealed a time bomb under the conference table in the meeting room, with Hitler and other officers present, and leave the building as unobtrusively as possible. Upon entering the conference room, Stauffenberg noticed that Hitler's right-hand man, Heinrich Himmler, was not present. Stauffenberg could not kill Hitler without taking out Himmler simultaneously, because Himmler, who was just as cruel as Hitler, would possibly be the man to take command of Nazi Germany in the event of Hitler's death. So, Stauffenberg exited the room and called his co-conspirators, such as former General Ludwig Beck and General Friedrich Olbricht, in Berlin and asked for them for advice. The other conspirators, who were also German officers, instructed Stauffenberg to abandon the plan, and they would try on another day. Hitler got to live for at least another day. Colonel Stauffenberg's next assassination plot on Hitler took place on July 15, 1944, just 4 days after the first plan, at another military meeting in Hitler's new headquarters, known as the Wolf's Lair. Stauffenberg once again planned on placing the briefcase time bomb under the conference table and leave the area. However, Stauffenberg noticed Himmler's absence from the meeting again. So, Stauffenberg placed the suitcase under the table and went to call the other conspirators in Berlin to tell them of the situation. Like last time, they told Stauffenberg to abort the plan and wait for another day when Himmler was present. When Stauffenberg returned to the conference room to retrieve his briefcase, he noticed it was gone. He frantically searched around the room for it, at the same time being reprimanded by superior officers for acting strangely. But he noticed that another general, who was also a member of the conspiracy, was carrying the briefcase for unknown reasons. As time progressed, the meeting ended, Hitler left the building safely, and Stauffenberg flew back to his colleagues in Berlin, briefcase bomb in hand. Colonel Stauffenberg's final assassination attempt, and possibly the closest any man came to killing Hitler, occurred on July 20, 1944, at yet another military conference at the same headquarters as the last meeting. Upon Stauffenberg's arrival at the headquarters complex, he was informed that the conference was not going to be held in the customary concrete bunker he had planned for, but instead in a wooden building with several windows. This was one fatal flaw in the assassination plan. If the conference was held in the concrete bunker, like Stauffenberg thought, then an explosion would surely kill Hitler. The reinforced concrete would hold in the pressure of the explosion, killing everyone inside. The wooden building, however, was fragile. The wooden building would allow the pressure from the explosion to escape outward into the surrounding area, thus decreasing the chance of killing Hitler. The plan needed to be carried out, though. Stauffenberg entered the conference room and noticed Himmler's absence once again. The conspirators could not risk another day without Hitler dead, so Stauffenberg placed the ignited time bomb under the conference table by Hitler's chair and exited the room to take a phone call to wait for the explosion. Unknowingly to Stauffenberg, though, another officer loyal to Hitler sat down and felt Stauffenberg's briefcase was in his way. The officer pushed the suitcase across the floor, down to the end of the table farthest from Hitler. This was the second fatal flaw in the plan. As Stauffenberg was waiting outside by his car, the wooden building exploded. The bomb had gone off. Convinced of Hitler's demise, Stauffenberg traveled back to his colleagues in Berlin. Stauffenberg's failure to confirm the kill was the third fatal flaw in the plan. Later that same night, however, Stauffenberg and his fellow conspirators were listening to a radio broadcast and learned that Hitler was alive and only suffered minor cuts and bruises. Also later that same night, Nazi officers interrogated Stauffenberg, and he confessed to planting the bomb. Stauffenberg and the other German officer conspirators were arrested and executed that night by firing squad in the courtyard of their base of operations. Stauffenberg screamed, "Long live our sacred Germany," as shots fired upon him. Brave German officers were killed, but the evil Hitler remained alive.